right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to be diving into some really interesting stuff today in the world of robotic surgery
Oh,
in Italy, but not for the reasons you might think.
interesting.
This isn't going to be like, look at all this amazing, like, futuristic stuff they're doing. It's actually, there's some roadblocks, like some surprising roadblocks that have me scratching my head. You sent us this document, Robotic Market, Italy.pdf.
Right.
And let me tell you, the situation is a lot more complex than I initially expected. We're talking potential innovation setbacks
Yeah.
and even higher costs for a country that's supposed to be on the cutting edge of this technology.
Well, and what's interesting about that is that Italy was actually a pioneer in robotic surgery,
Oh, really?
with one company dominating for almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
Now that patents are expiring
Okay.
and new companies are sort of entering the market, you'd think that Italy would be leading the charge
Yeah.
with even more groundbreaking techniques.
Yeah, more competition should mean
Exactly.
better outcomes for patients, right?
Right.
So what's the holdup?
Well, the document points to some pretty specific practices within the Italian healthcare system,
Okay.
particularly with how hospitals buy these robotic systems. And let's be clear, I'm not talking about some, like, futuristic sci-fi robot surgeon. This is about giving skilled surgeons superpowered tools. Think of it more as an extension of laparoscopic surgery, where the surgeon controls robotic arms with incredible precision from a console.
Oh, so smaller incisions, faster recovery times, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Fewer complications, all that good stuff.
But this document's suggesting that those purchasing practices are actually hindering those potential benefits.
Right. The document calls out two main issues. The first is the problem of restrictive technical specifications.
Okay.
Basically, hospitals are writing up these like requirements for new robotic systems
Yeah.
that perfectly match the existing dominant system.
Oh, so they're like writing.
It's like saying you want a new car, but then specifying that it has to be a red 2005 Honda Civic with exactly 87,000 miles on it.
Oh, so you're saying they're writing it in a way that only one company can fulfill.
Exactly. New companies, even with potentially better technology, can't even compete.
So that's frustrating. But it sounds like kind of standard bureaucratic nonsense, you know?
Right.
What's the second issue? Like, is there something more to this?
Yeah, the second one's a bit more subtle. Imagine a hospital gets offered a free robotic system. Sounds amazing, right?
Yeah, sign me up.
But then they're locked into buying only that company's expensive consumables,
Ah.
the disposable instruments needed for each surgery.
So they're saving money up front, but then paying a huge premium.
Exactly. So they're saving money up front, but potentially paying a huge premium down the line.
That's like the old give away the razor, sell the blades trick, right?
Exactly.
But is that really that bad? I mean, couldn't you argue that sticking with one provider simplifies training and ensures consistency?
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
And there are definitely arguments to be made for standardization. But the document highlights some real concerns. For starters, this lack of competition
Yeah.
is costing the Italian healthcare system a lot of money. They estimate annual public spending on robotic surgery at 87 million euros,
Wow.
with consumables accounting for over 50% of that.
So not only are they stifling innovation,
Yeah.
they're also inflating costs in the process.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The document doesn't just lay out the problems.
Oh, good.
It actually suggests some potential solutions.
Okay.
The Italian authorities, specifically the AGCM and ANC,
Right.
are recommending that hospitals take a more holistic approach
Okay.
to these purchasing decisions.
So what are they proposing? Like, are they suggesting like a kumbaya circle where everyone holds hands and agrees to play nice?
Not quite. They're pushing for some concrete changes. For example, they want hospitals to conduct real consultations
Okay.
with multiple companies, not just go through the motions to justify choosing the incumbent provider.
So not just like checking a box.
Exactly. They're also urging them to carefully analyze long-term costs, factoring in those pricey consumables
Yeah.
when making a decision.
It sounds like they're trying to inject some much-needed competition and transparency into the system.
Right.
But let's be real.
Yeah.
Is that even possible? I mean, these practices are probably so ingrained in the Italian healthcare system. It's like trying to turn a giant ship around.
It's definitely a challenge,
Yeah.
and the document doesn't sugarcoat that. But it also highlights some intriguing examples from other countries where similar reforms have actually worked.
So there's hope.
There is hope.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But even if they manage to open up the market, there's still the issue of surgeon training.
Right.
If most surgeons are only familiar with one system,
Yeah.
they're not exactly going to jump ship overnight,
Right.
even if a newer, better system comes along.
That's a great point, and it raises a question that goes beyond Italy.
Oh.
Could similar dynamics be playing out in other countries, even in completely different industries?
Hmm.
Are we, as a society, sometimes too quick to embrace the easy solution without considering the long-term consequences?
This whole deep dive has me wondering, are there similar hidden costs lurking beneath the surface in other areas of our lives?
That's what we're going to be exploring in part 2.
Okay.
We'll delve deeper into the potential consequences of these procurement practices and see if we can uncover any parallels in other fields.
Okay, folks, that's a wrap for part 1. We've laid out the problem, but the real investigation is just beginning. Stay tuned for part 2, where things are about to get really interesting.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the curious case of robotic surgery in Italy. We've established there are some questionable purchasing practices happening,
Yeah.
and now I'm like itching to figure out how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Or remember those 2 red flags we talked about?
Yeah.
Restrictive technical specifications and the free robots that come with those pricey consumables.
Right.
The document actually gives some real-world examples
Oh, perfect.
that illustrate how these practices play out. Yeah, give me the juicy details. I'm all about those aha moments when the abstract becomes concrete. You know what I mean?
All right, picture this. You're a hospital administrator in Italy,
Okay.
excited about the prospect of bringing in a new robotic surgery system.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe there's this like cutting-edge system that's getting rave reviews for its precision and versatility,
Okay.
potentially leading to even better outcomes for your patients.
Yeah, you're ready to embrace the future of surgery, so what happens?
You start drafting the procurement proposal,
Okay.
eager to get this amazing technology into your operating rooms.
Yeah.
But then reality sets in.
Oh.
You realize that the only way to secure funding and get approval from higher-ups
Right.
is to stick with the existing system.
Ugh, the one that's been the gold standard for years, even if it's not the best,
It could happen.
because everybody's comfortable with it.
Right.
Surgeons, the purchasing department, the IT folks that have to integrate it.
Yeah. It's like the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So even if you personally are excited about this new system,
Right.
the bureaucratic inertia can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
You end up writing specifications that subtly, or not so subtly, exclude any potential newcomers. It's like drawing a perfect outline around the incumbent's product
Oh, okay.
and saying, only things that fit perfectly inside this box need apply.
Ah, so the new companies, even with amazing tech, get shut out because they just haven't had the time to build that same level of
Exactly.
familiarity and integration within the system.
Right.
Talk about a rigged game. What about that second issue, the free robot trap? The document mentions some real-world examples of that too, right?
It did. Imagine a different hospital administrator, this one facing budget constraints.
Okay.
A company comes along offering to donate a robotic surgery system completely free of charge.
Okay.
Seems like a dream come true, especially in a time when healthcare budgets are stretched thin.
Sign me up. Free robot. Come on.
But as we discussed earlier, there's often a hidden cost.
Those expensive consumables, right? Like, you're basically getting hooked on a system where they're locked into buying these proprietary instruments
Exactly.
at potentially inflated prices.
Precisely. The document gives a hypothetical example
Okay.
where a hospital could save 20% on overall costs
Wow.
by choosing a system with more competitively priced consumables,
Okay.
even if the initial cost of the robot itself is higher.
Interesting.
But often, that long-term perspective gets lost in the excitement.
Of free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of getting something for free up front.
It's like those buy one, get one free deals at the grocery store.
Yes.
You end up buying twice as much as you need
Exactly.
just because it seems like a good deal in the moment.
That's a great analogy. And the consequences go beyond just the financial hit.
Oh.
Think about the impact on innovation.
Okay, yeah.
If new companies can't even get their foot in the door
Yeah.
because of these procurement practices, they have less incentive
Right.
to invest in research and development.
So why bother creating groundbreaking new technologies
Right.
if there's no viable path to getting them into the hands of surgeons?
Exactly. It's like training for the Olympics, but knowing you'll never be allowed to compete.
Oh, it's rough.
And let's not forget about the dominant company,
Right.
the one that's been comfortably controlling the market for years. If they're not facing any real competition,
Mm-hmm.
where's the pressure to innovate?
why push the boundaries of what's possible if you're already king of the hill, right? So
Exactly.
it's a lose-lose situation all around.
Yeah.
Patients potentially miss out on the benefits of this cutting-edge tech.
Right.
New companies get stifled.
Yeah.
The incumbent gets complacent.
Right.
But hold on. The document did offer some potential solutions, right?
They did.
Didn't they have those recommendations from the AGCM and ANSE?
Yes.
Like, weren't there some ways to address this?
They did, and while some might argue that these recommendations are overly idealistic, the document actually provides some examples of how they've been successfully implemented in other countries.
So it's not just wishful thinking.
Right.
Tell me more about these success stories. Give me some hope.
One example highlighted in the document is from the UK.
Okay.
They implemented a policy requiring hospitals to demonstrate a genuine need
Okay.
for a specific robotic system
Right.
before bypassing open bidding processes.
So it's not about making it impossible
Right.
to choose a specific provider,
Exactly.
but it forces them to, like, justify their choice
Right.
rather than just defaulting to the status quo.
Exactly. It's about introducing some accountability and
Yeah,
transparency.
that makes sense. What else? What else have they tried?
Another example comes from the Netherlands, where they've implemented a system for evaluating robotic surgery systems
Okay.
based on their total cost of ownership over a 5-year period.
Oh, interesting.
This means factoring in not just the initial purchase price of the robot,
Right.
but also the ongoing costs of maintenance,
Okay.
training, and those all-important consumables.
So they're taking a long-term view,
Exactly.
not just focusing on that immediate bottom line.
Right.
I like that. So it's about making decisions based on what's truly best for the healthcare system as a whole, not just what's easiest
Exactly.
or cheapest in the short term.
Right.
But even with these examples, I still have this nagging feeling that it's all easier said than done, you know? Like, changing deeply ingrained practices
Yeah.
is never easy,
It's definitely not a quick fix.
especially in something as complex as healthcare.
Right. And the document acknowledges that there will be challenges and pushback along the way.
Right.
But it also highlights the importance of persistence and political will.
Yeah.
Real change requires this sustained effort from multiple stakeholders,
Right.
from policymakers and regulators
Right.
to hospital administrators and even individual surgeons.
It sounds like we're talking about a cultural shift, not just a policy change.
Is
But even if they manage to crack this nut in Italy, like, what are the chances that this will actually make a difference in other countries? Is this just an Italian problem? Or is this, like, a symptom of a larger issue?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's exactly what we'll be tackling in part 3.
Ooh.
We'll zoom out and consider the broader implications of this deep dive.
Okay.
Could this Italian case study be a wake-up call for healthcare systems around the world?
I'm already feeling those wheels turning. All right, folks, that's it for part 2. We've dug into the nitty-gritty details of these procurement practices, and now it's time to connect the dots and see what bigger picture emerges. All right, welcome back to our deep dive, everybody. So we've been talking about robotic surgery in Italy, and it's been a wild ride. You know, we started off thinking this is going to be a story about innovation,
Right.
but then we kind of stumbled upon these procurement practices that are like throwing a wrench into the whole system.
You know, what's fascinating to me is that this isn't just about robots and scalpels. Right.
It's about how, like, seemingly mundane decisions,
Yeah.
like how a hospital buys equipment, can have ripple effects throughout an entire industry,
Yeah.
even impacting patient care.
It's like those hidden fees you don't see till you're at the checkout counter,
Exactly.
Suddenly that amazing deal isn't so amazing anymore.
Exactly. And the document you sent, with its in-depth analysis of the Italian market,
Right.
really serves as a cautionary tale. It reminds us that innovation isn't just about brilliant ideas
Right.
and technological breakthroughs.
Yeah.
It's also about creating a system that allows those innovations to flourish.
So let's zoom out a bit, okay?
Right.
We spent a lot of time in Italy.
Right.
Is this just an Italian problem?
Right.
Are there similar hidden costs lurking in other countries, maybe in fields we wouldn't even expect?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because one of the most valuable aspects of this deep dive is its potential to be a wake-up call
Okay.
for other industries. The specific details might differ.
But the underlying dynamics are surprisingly universal.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
Go
Like,
ahead.
how could these same patterns play out in, say, the tech world?
Imagine a software company
Okay.
that becomes the dominant provider for a particular type of service. Let's say cloud storage.
Okay, yeah.
They get so big that everyone relies on their platform,
Mm-hmm.
from individual users to multinational corporations.
It's like the Google or Amazon of cloud storage. Everybody's using it,
Exactly. But what happens when a new company comes along with a potentially superior platform, offering faster speeds, better security,
Right.
more innovative features?
Right. Are they going to be able to break through?
Exactly. Or will the existing giant use its market power to maintain its dominance?
It's like that lock-in effect we talked about with the Italian hospitals.
Exactly.
They're stuck with a particular robotic surgery system, not because it's the best, but because switching would just be too disruptive.
Precisely. And the same thing can happen in the tech world or finance or
Yeah.
energy, right? Any industry where a dominant player emerges can create barriers to entry for newcomers,
Right.
even if those newcomers have game-changing solutions.
So what can we do about it? It's easy to feel kind of helpless when these forces seem so big and systemic.
It's definitely a challenge, but the document does offer some glimmers of hope.
Okay, good.
Remember those recommendations from the Italian authorities,
Mm-hmm.
the AGCM and the ANF?
Yeah.
They weren't just about robotic surgery. They were about creating a more competitive and transparent marketplace.
Right, like genuine consultations with multiple providers,
Well, that's it.
long-term cost analysis,
Right.
clear justifications for bypassing open bidding processes, good stuff in theory.
Right.
But how do you actually make that happen in the real world?
Well, it requires a multi-pronged approach. First, you need strong regulations and oversight to prevent these anti-competitive practices thing.
Yeah.
Antitrust laws, transparent procurement processes,
Right.
independent watchdogs to hold companies accountable.
So it's about creating a level playing field where everyone has a fair shot.
Exactly.
But regulations alone aren't enough, are they?
Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
You also need a culture
Right.
that values innovation and embraces new ideas.
Okay.
This means fostering a mindset of curiosity, encouraging experimentation,
Right.
rewarding those who challenge the status quo.
It's about being willing to step outside your comfort zone,
Exactly.
to question assumptions and consider that there might be a better way.
And it's about supporting those who are trying to push the boundaries, whether they're startups developing disruptive technologies
Right.
or individuals within large organizations who are championing new approaches.
So it's a combination of top-down regulations and bottom-up cultural change.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But let's be honest. Even if we manage to achieve all of this, there's still that human element, right? Like people get comfortable with what they know.
Right.
They resist change. They fall into routines. How do you overcome that inertia?
You're hitting on a fundamental aspect of human nature, and it's something we all grapple with. But the document offers this, subtle suggestion.
Ooh.
Maybe the key lies in reframing how we think about innovation.
Okay, I like that. How do we reframe it?
Instead of viewing innovation as this disruptive force, something that upends our comfortable routines,
Yeah.
what if we saw it as a continuous process of improvement, a way to make things better, easier, more efficient, more enjoyable?
So it's not about throwing out everything we know and starting from scratch. It's about constantly seeking ways to refine and enhance what we already have.
Exactly. And that shift in mindset can make a world of difference.
Yeah.
Because if we view innovation as a natural part of progress,
Yeah.
something that benefits everyone, then we're more likely to embrace it rather than resist it.
It's about seeing the possibilities, not just the disruptions.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. It feels a lot more optimistic and empowering, I think.
And it's a message that resonates far beyond the world of robotic surgery, right?
Right.
Whether we're talking about healthcare, technology, education, any other field, this ability to adapt and evolve is essential for long-term success.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with?
I think the most important lesson is that innovation isn't a spectator sport.
Right.
It requires active participation from all of us.
Absolutely.
We can all be more mindful of the choices we make,
Yeah.
the systems we support, and the culture we foster.
It's about asking questions, challenging assumptions, and just being open to new ideas.
Exactly.
Even if they make us a little uncomfortable.
Because ultimately, progress depends on our collective willingness to embrace the unknown
Yeah.
and to believe that we can always do better.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Yeah.
Thank you for sending us this fascinating document. It's been an eye-opening journey.
It has.
And I hope you, our listener, are walking away with some new insights
Yeah.
and a renewed sense of curiosity about the world around you.
And who knows, maybe this deep dive will inspire them to uncover some hidden costs in their own field
Yeah.
and become agents of change in their own right.
Until next time, folks, keep diving deep.